The concept of an International Crying Day serves not merely as a performative ritual of collective sorrow, but as a vital sociological intervention into the modern crisis of emotional repression. In a contemporary landscape dominated by the tyranny of positivity and the digital commodification of happiness, the act of crying, specifically crying for anything that hurts, from the existential to the mundane, represents a radical reclamation of human vulnerability. To understand the necessity of such a day, one must deep dive into the psychological architecture of human passions and the sociological structures that dictate how we express them. Human affection is not a static state, but a dynamic, often volatile energy that requires a release valve. When we examine the history of human emotion, we find that tears have evolved from a biological necessity for ocular health into a complex social signaling system. Psychologically, crying is a bridge between the conscious mind and the autonomic nervous system. It is the body's way of processing what the intellect cannot yet articulate. By dedicating a global day to this release, we acknowledge that pain is a universal currency, transcending the barriers of age, gender, and geography. For men, this day serves as a deconstruction of the stoic archetype, a psychological cage that has historically linked masculinity with emotional silence, leading to higher rates of internalized trauma and stress-related pathologies. For women, it offers a space where the expression of pain is decoupled from the pejorative labels of hysteria or instability, reframing emotional transparency as a form of social strength rather than a biological weakness. The sociological implications are profound. We live in an era of atomization, where individuals are increasingly isolated in their suffering. An International Crying Day transforms private despair into a collective experience, validating the reality that human weakness is not a defect but a defining characteristic of our species. The passions that drive us, love, ambition, jealousy, grief, are inherently painful because they require us to be open to the possibility of loss. To love is to gamble with future sorrow. To aspire is to invite the sting of failure. This essay posits that the suppression of these painful passions leads to a state of emotional atrophy, where the individual becomes a ghost in their own life, capable of feeling only the dulled echoes of true experience. From a psychological perspective, the anything that hurts mandate is crucial because it removes the hierarchy of suffering. Often, people feel they do not have the right to cry because their pain is not objective enough compared to global tragedies. However, psychology teaches us that the nervous system does not differentiate between a heartbreak and a missed opportunity in terms of the chemical stress response it generates. By validating all pain, we foster a culture of radical empathy. Children, who are often told to stop crying as a form of early social conditioning, would see adults engaging in the same behavior, thereby learning that emotions are to be moved through, not moved around. The elderly, who often carry the cumulative weight of decades of unmourned losses, would find a moment of societal permission to lighten their burden. This global event would function as a liminal space, a time outside of time, where the normal rules of social decorum are suspended in favor of a deeper, more visceral truth. We must analyze the weakness of the human condition not as a flaw to be cured by technology or grit, but as the very soil from which compassion grows. If we were invulnerable, we would be incapable of connection. It is the crack in the porcelain that lets the light in, as the saying goes, but sociologically, it is the shared recognition of those cracks that builds a community. The act of crying is a physical manifestation of the surrender to reality. It is an admission that we are not in total control. In a world that prizes the illusion of total mastery over one's life and environment, such a surrender is the ultimate act of psychological honesty. This day would tackle the enemy of the modern world, providing a shared rhythm to the chaotic pulse of global anxiety. It is an invitation to look at the shadows we usually hide, the fear of death, the regret of words unsaid, the exhaustion of existing in a competitive meritocracy, and to let them wash over us in a lachrymose wave. By doing so, we don't just get over the pain, we integrate it. We move from a state of fractured suffering to one of holistic awareness. This is the sociological necessity of tears. They are the ink with which we write the history of our endurance. An International Crying Day is not about wallowing. It is about the profound psychological courage required to be truly, painfully human in the presence of others. It is a testament to the fact that while we all hurt differently, we all cry the same. And in that shared saltwater reality, we find the only true foundation for a global society built on authentic affection rather than artificial proximity.